Hey, just a little disclaimer for this video. This is the first time I've ever recorded anything other than an unscripted, unedited rant about bullshit. This is still a rant about bullshit, but it's actually, there was actually a little bit of planning, a little bit of amateur planning put into it, so I'm sorry if there's some serious issues. Within the first, 3 or 4 minutes, my mic does some really weird cutting shit, and it makes it hard to understand what I'm saying. Luckily, there will be screenshots on screen for you to look at, so you know what I was actually trying to say. I've got super cheap equipment to work with. I've got a really, kind of cheap USB mic that I'm borrowing from my mom, a super slow computer with really little space on it, and I'm editing this with Windows fucking Movie Maker, and what little knowledge I have of Audacity. So, excuse the poor quality as best you can. I'm sorry, it had to be this way. Everyone's got to start somewhere, I guess, right? Also, I just want to let you know I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. I found out on Twitter that Reitanna's rat, Jerry, has passed away. It's probably one of the reasons why she was so fucking upset on Twitter the other day. I can't believe I didn't stop to think about that. Yeah. I never mentioned anything like that in the video because I only found out after I was done recording this, that her rat passed away. Also, there are some things that I misspoke of and didn't articulate quite well in this video. I may or may not copy and paste some things into a pinned comment or the description, so watch out for that if you have any slight interest in that. Also, I get very exhausted by talking, so there's some points where I just go ballistic. Sorry for any mic peaking. Sorry if the audio is shit. This is my first time working with audio. I'm doing my best. I'm really doing my best with what I have, experience-wise and technology-wise. So I'm sorry if it's shit. Yeah, on to the video. Okay, so to start this, I'm just going to preface this with, I do not, under any circumstances, hate Reitanna. I do not hate her at all. I've been a fan of hers for roughly 6 years, give or take a few months. I'm just concerned about her mentalities recently. I'm concerned about her behavior and her well-being, because she said some pretty concerning things on Twitter lately. Listen, I wasn't initially going to make this, but I've just got a lot of shit on my mind, and I feel like I need to get it off my chest this way. Again, I don't hate Reitanna. I'm just concerned about her, okay? So, the main reason I'm making this is because of an interaction she had with one of my friends on Twitter a couple months ago, back in February. Basically, Reitanna's goal weight was, Reitanna's working on getting her weight down right now, which, that sounds pretty good, but, she's 29 years old, 5'4", and she's wanting to be 110 now. I looked into it. That's not the worst weight. I feel like she could stand to be I feel like she could stand to have a few more pounds than that. Because 110 just feels a little unrealistic, and if you want to fact check that and correct me, I'd be more than willing. The issue isn't the weight that she wanted to be. The issue is the way that she's been treating people on Twitter because of that, and even because of other things, but right now we're going to start with the weight thing, okay? So Reitanna said, she was responding to somebody else. She said, I'm 29 years old, female, and 5'4". 110 is the perfect weight. And Cara Mendoza, my friend, she responded with, I'm going to be honest, 110 pounds is not a healthy weight. Healthy weight is based on your height and genetics. No one can be 110 and under. At a woman your age, you should rest between 133 or 114. I've read a chart that has the ideal height for women and men. And Reitanna replied to that with, no, that's too heavy. There's nothing too wrong with the way that Rei responded with this. I feel like maybe she could have responded with actual research, and explain herself better than just, no, that's too heavy. Because she just feels like a fussy 12-year-old in that tweet, but she wasn't actually being outright rude. And then Kara responded to that with, that's not heavy. That's average for a woman. I'm 5'7", and I'm supposed to be at 165 or something to be considered skinny. And Rei responded to that with, why are you arguing with me? It's my choice. This is where it started going downhill quickly. I got a lot of problems with this. First of all, the first thing Rei could have done immediately with the first response, she could have explained herself, given actual research evidence for why she was right, but she never said she was right. She basically just said, this is my choice. And then after Kara responded with a counter argument, Rei basically just uses quote, my choice, unquote, as a scapegoat instead of explaining herself further. That's what that feels like. And this is the point where she just starts getting unnecessarily hostile. And and then immediately after that, Rei says, why are you getting hostile? I'm not arguing with you. I'm stating some facts and some concerns. And then Rei responds with, because I keep giving hints for you to drop it and you keep going. Okay, so just to be clear, by this point, they have had only 2 back and forths, and neither of these times they give any kind of hint that she wanted to drop it. She responded unnecessarily rude both of these times, and then all of a sudden she just says she keeps giving hints for Kara to drop it. Now, you can go look at her Twitter yourself and tell me if something is lost on me, or if I'm missing something. I looked through these tweets forever, and all I can see is that there wasn't nearly enough back and forth for Rei to give Kara hints to drop it. They had 2 back and forths, 2, by this point. Rei was the one that got hostile and rude. Right? She didn't even explain herself properly. She just said, it's my choice. And that's it. She didn't give any real evidence. Okay. So that's the first issue. So Kara responded to that with, I wasn't going. I was stating something and you decided to get hostile on me when I was expressing something. A concern. You never gave me hints about dropping it. And then Rei responded to that with, do I just need to outright tell you to stop? Who are you? What screen name do I know you as? And she then proceeded to keep getting more hostile. Do I just need to outright tell you to stop? You could've. I don't know what was stopping you before. First of all, nothing was stopping her from telling Kara to outright stop. Second of all, Rei was the one that got hostile first. She was the one that was being rude. She didn't even explain herself with maybe an article or a link to something proving her point. She just said, no, that's too heavy, it's my choice. And just expected Kara to roll with that. And then Kara is calmly trying to diffuse the situation, and Rei just keeps getting more heated about it. And it's just, this alone makes me disappointed. Right? And Rei did some shitty stuff after this, too. We'll get to that later, though. But she and Kara went on about a couple different things. One of them, the main one, was Kara and Rei were talking about the YouTube hacking thing, and they had a really long back and forth about that. I'm not educated on the YouTube thing. I'm not educated about how they deal with hackings or whatever, so I'm not going to talk about that, but I do have some screenshots that I want to cover that are related to the Kara thing. another one of my friends, called Nothing is Scary, was consulting Ray about her weight as well, and he was being almost as civil as Kara. You know, maybe he got a teensy bit spicy here and there, but nothing, too inflammatory or anything. But Ray responded with, "You never dropped it. Why would you criticize someone who never asked for it? Besides, if you think that's criticism, I'd love to show you what real criticism is. Dropping it means stop replying about it, and you just keep saying more things that I have to correct you on." For reference, what she corrected Scary on, was this. Let me show you. Nothing is Scary said, "I could understand if I was being rude, but I literally just tried to tell you I don't think being 110 is safe. But yep, that comment is the end of the world." And Ray said, "I am an adult. I've been 110 before. When I was a teenager." Her defense is that she was 110 when she was a teenager. She's a 29-year-old woman. And her defense for being 110 is that she was 110 before when she was a teenager. And I'm like, maybe I don't know anything about weight. Maybe I don't know anything about weight. Maybe I'm wrong, okay? But you can't deny the fact that she hasn't said anything constructive yet. And you can go look at her Twitter. And read the things that she said if you want. You're gonna have to scroll through a lot of stuff, but you're even gonna have to scroll through a whole ass mental breakdown that she had just a couple days ago. But you can go look for yourself. You can go to her Twitter. Excuse my squeaky chair. You can go look for yourself and tell me if I'm wrong about something, if I've missed something, or if something is lost on me. But it just seems to me that Ray she's not handling this right. She's being unnecessarily hostile. She's being outright rude on most occasions. To finish this tweet, she said, "But it's my decision, not yours. I have asked you multiple times, who are you? What scream name are you on YouTube or DeviantArt?" She's insistent on knowing who these people are specifically, and I wonder why that is. That wasn't sarcasm. I genuinely am curious as to why she wants to know so badly. So she said that. And then there was another tweet she said, "I'm not going in chronological order anymore. I am reading just tweets that I have problems with." Here's a tweet she tweeted on April 4th. She said, "I block people because the negativity isn't healthy for me. Literally 200 people could tell me I'm pretty, but if 4 or 5 say I'm ugly, I break down, believing them, and it pushes my self-esteem even lower. My fiance says he wishes my brain didn't work that way, and I agree." My issue with this tweet is when she says, "I block people because the negativity isn't healthy for me." Listen, the only accounts that she blocked were 2 alternate accounts, that hardly even said anything to her, okay? There was one account that was just outright dickish to her. There was one account that was just straight up trolling her, with like okay boomer gifs and shit. I'm not sure if she ever even blocked that person. But the 2 main people, Kara and Nothing is Scary, she never blocked them. And yet those were the 2 people causing her so much emotional stress. Scary and Kara were the people that were causing her the most trouble, and she never blocked them. She kept going with inflammatory comments. She was being spiteful. She was being sarcastic. She kept it going on purpose. She basically did what a troll would do. I'm not fucking with you. You can go look yourself, and you'll see it. You can tell me if I'm wrong, but the way I'm sitting here right now, the way I looked at it, she's basically just... It's like she was getting a kick out of it. It's like she was entertaining herself by talking to these people. And all they did was voice a concern about her weight in a civil way. And yet she has to go on and get all defensive and rude not even explain herself properly. Her only defense was, oh, I was 110 when I was a teenager. She's a 29-year-old woman. 110 does not feel realistic for someone her age. Am I fucking crazy? I don't know. But anyway, she said that. And the block people because negativity isn't healthy for me thing is bullshit. She proved that to be fucking bullshit. Because to this day, she still hasn't blocked Scary or Kara. Right? She egged them on, gaslighted the conversation. She was basically spitting in their face. And they kept repeatedly trying to calm her down. And eventually they got fed up, naturally. I don't agree with a lot of the things they did, but I'll cover that towards the end of the video. But she's just been acting so unnecessarily hostile to people. Like, goddamn. It's ridiculous. But yeah, she's been saying a lot of really shitty things. And, I wish she would tone it down. Okay? The next thing that I really wanted to cover was the 420 tweet that she tweeted on April 20th. This one gets me a little heated for multiple reasons. I will try my best to speak about them in a coherent way. I cannot guarantee you that I'll be able to do that because I'm not used to talking like this. But she said on April 20th, I'm gonna read this in the tone that I imagine she was, thinking it in. It's 420. Oh, no. I don't celebrate Hitler, you Nazis. Hashtag stoners are idiots. Okay. Where do I begin with this? So, first off, she essentially called every single person who's ever smoked weed, Nazis. She assumed that all stoners celebrate Hitler. And, she's just generalizing that any and all people that have ever smoked weed are idiots. I don't know if this is her attempt at, like, edgy humor. But it didn't work. It really didn't. This is probably her, most poorly received tweet that she's made so far. Next to another one that I will cover in a minute. This looking at one person in an entire group and then thinking that everyone else in that group is exactly the same. Like, this crazy generalization that she's using is so fucking toxic. Like, it's really funny because she talks about, listen, she's been straight edge all throughout her channel. She's always been straight edge, okay? That's one of the things she's known for, right? She hates weed, she hates alcohol, she hates anything drug-related. She's always talked about stoners this way. She's always talked about people who do drugs this way. She just has this disgusting way that she talks about people who do drugs. She talks about drug addicts the way radical Christians talk about gay people, and it's really fucking funny. But she just generalizes stoners and people who drink alcohol in such a mean way. She's so mean-spirited towards them. I'm pretty sure it's because, and I'm sorry to say this, but it's relevant. But I think it's because her mother did drugs, and obviously, for very obvious reasons, that would fuck up her view of drugs for the rest of her life. I'm not blaming her for that. It's just the way she talks about people like this openly that really bothers me. I was talking to Kara about this the other day. I was like, people who do drugs, people who have addictions, people who are just looking for an escape, I think they should be treated with more love and care than the way she's treating them. Because people who partake in drug abuse, they probably have mental issues. They probably have shit that they deal with, you know? I don't think there's any reason to be spitting venom at them, especially when you don't know them as people. You can't look at one person who smoked weed or done alcohol or whatever. It doesn't even matter what the substance is at this point. If you look at one person who does a drug of any kind, and you hate the way they act, and you think they're a shitty person, and you're just like, oh, well, everybody in that group is the same way. Or you at least judge them by the majority. Even that's wrong. Like, judging every single stoner by what you perceive to be the majority is still fucking wrong, right? I bet if somebody said the same kind of shit about pansexual people or black people, Ray would be throwing a fucking hissy fit. I can guarantee you that. If some Christian got on Twitter and said shit like this about someone who is in the LGBT community, or someone who is, black, or just in a minority, she would be fucking pissed. But no, because it's someone who does drugs, that's a problem. I just hate it on so many levels. And then a guy named Millarts responded to her stoner tweet by saying, maybe the fact that many normal people treat 420 as just another day. Many people, including me, don't keep track of that stuff in their head. Which I'm pretty sure was a counter-argument against her tweet. I'm pretty sure he was making fun of her for being obsessed over it, but she responded with, I just think it's funny and gives me an excuse to hate stoners even more. Assuming that all stoners just casually celebrate Hitler's birthday. I think the issue is that she thinks the 420 joke, originated because it was Hitler's birthday. I think that's the miscommunication that's going on. Hold on a second. I'm gonna pause this real quick and go find something important that I saw a minute ago. Okay, so I found it. It's in the description of one of Cara Mendoza's videos on YouTube called, All Stoners Are Nazis According to Reitanna Seishin on Twitter. I'll link this in the description so you can read it yourself. Again, this is just what Cara found. This is what she found. This is what I'm reading. If you know more about it than either of us, then feel free to tell me, because this is important. I need to know what's going on with this shit, because I feel like I'm losing it, because I'm so fucking frustrated. But anyway, this was in her description. She said, okay, so the origin of the joke, or the holiday placed by stoners, is just that it was originally a police code for weed. That's it. Someone in the comments informed me on this, which opens a brighter door so we don't base the 420 joke on Hitler's birthday. And then she continued on to say, so my dad told me that 420 is created by a high school group named the Waldos, and it was located in San Rafael. This was 1971, back in the day before weed even got legalized in California. It was a number and a joke between the friends that it's a number for weed smoking, and it soon spread around Cali. This number was implemented into the time and a date. Unknowingly, the teens did not know it was on Hitler's birthday. The wiki, whatever wiki she got this from, feel free to correct us. Wiki says this. In 1971, 5 high school students in San Rafael, California, used the term 420 in connection with a plan to search for an abandoned cannabis crop, based on a treasure map made by the grower. Calling themselves the Waldos because their typical hangout spot was a wall outside the school. The 5 students, Steve Capper, Dave Reddix, Jeffrey Noel, Larry Schwartz, and Mark Gravick, designated the Louis Pasteur, whatever that means, statue on the grounds of San Rafael High School as their meeting place, and 4:20 p.m. as their meeting time. The Waldos referred to this plan with the phrase 420 Louis. After several failed attempts to find the crop, the group eventually shortened their phrase to simply 420, which ultimately evolved into a code word the teens used to refer to consuming cannabis. Stephen Hager of High Times was responsible for popularizing the story of the Waldos. The first High Times mention of 420 smoking and a 420 holiday appeared in May 1991, and the connection to the Waldos appeared in December 1998. Hager attributed the early spread of the phrase to Grateful Dead followers, after Waldo Reddix became a roadie for the Dead's bassist, Phil Lesh, and called for 4:20 p.m. to be the socially accepted hour of the day to consume cannabis. Okay, so that was the explanation for where 420 came from. Apparently. Like I said, if you know more about it, please correct me. But I'm pretty sure the source of Ray's joke about 420 and Stoner celebrating Hitler, I'm pretty sure that was just a miscommunication on her end. I think she just doesn't understand the actual joke. I myself, I didn't understand what 420 actually meant for a long time, many years, like 6 years. I never knew what it meant. I didn't even know what it meant until I read that description for the first time. All I knew was that it was weed. I didn't know why, but I knew it was weed because I was a stupid kid, and anything edgy and unreasonable was funny. Haha. Child humor. But anyway, that's the stoner thing. I explained my issues with that. Like I said, if you know the origin better than Kara or I do, please feel free to correct me. But Reitanna's generalizing mentality is really fucking toxic and uncalled for. And that's one of the many things about her that really fucking bothers me. The next thing that I wanted to move on to, which is, this is a really, I think this is a really bad one. I'm gonna put these screenshots up so that you can see them. You can tell me what you think. I think she was being really unreasonably hostile to this person. So, you can see, looking at it right now, a Spanish speaker retweeted her Doki Doki Literature Club tweet, with a phrase in their own language. They just wanted to share it, right? Innocent enough. Reitanna, she wasn't being rude, she was just asking, English, what does it mean in English? And the Spanish speaker responded with, speak cocaina. They explained later that that's a joke. I don't know how Ray was supposed to know that. This was speak cocaina, the joke. It wasn't a great response. They could have done better, but regardless, Ray's response to that was ridiculous. Ridiculously rude and long-winded. Reitanna responded with, I live in America. My Twitter is in English, therefore, if you can't comment in English, don't comment. There's no way for me to know your language because of the part of the world I live, and that should be obvious. Be respectful of other people instead of selfish. Okay, So, Spanish speaker responded with, I just wanted to share the post, what's wrong? And Ray responded with, what's wrong is that you posted a comment I could not understand, and when I asked for your translation, you said no, and demanded that I speak your language instead. Kind of a butthole move, don't you think? First of all, she didn't post a comment, she retweeted with a statement. I know Reitanna doesn't know jack shit about Twitter, but, when you retweet something with a comment like that, it doesn't mean you're expecting a response from the person that you're retweeting. You're just putting a phrase on a retweet. Reitanna clearly doesn't understand that, first of all. When I asked you for a translation, you said no and demanded that I speak your language instead. First of all, the Spanish speaker did not say no. And they did not demand that you speak their language, Reitanna. That didn't happen. They said speak cocaina. First of all, cocaina isn't a language. Thanks, Reitanna. Okay, that's not a language. I don't know where you got that from. And then she said, kind of a butthole move, don't you think? And then the Spanish speaker responded with, I am almost sure that everyone who continues to speak Spanish to me, I did not tell you to speak my language. I said I speak that language. I forgot to put the me. This tweet from the Spanish speaker, I'm going to be honest with you, the English isn't particularly fluent. Maybe it's just not clicking with me. If you know what they're talking about, please tell me. I don't get what they're saying. I don't understand what they're saying. But I can assure you that they definitely weren't being rude. I think that's obvious. I know there's a language barrier and they aren't particularly fluent in English, but I'm pretty sure it's obvious they weren't being rude. And then Ray responded to that with, You said no and then speak cocaina. Never heard of that language. I'm sorry, I'm laughing. Never heard of that language. But it looks like the word cocaine. If I saw you couldn't speak English, I would not leave an English comment on your page. It's called logic. So, this foreign speaker attempts to explain themselves in a language that they clearly aren't super fluent in. And she ends her response with, "It's called logic." Like, why? Why are you so fucking rude? So the Spanish speaker responds with, "I said cocaine because of the stereotype that exists of the Spanish-speaking people. The rest of the comment I did not understand why. I hardly know English." Reitanna said, "I don't care. If you don't know English, don't talk to an English speaker." Ray is being insensitive and rude, but there's a part of me that doesn't want to blame her because she doesn't understand how retweets work. I will give her that much room, but no more than that. So the Spanish speaker responds with, "What? You are literally the first person to tell me that. Already talking to several people who speak English and always understand that I usually have errors when writing. None of them tell me that I can't talk to them." Again, clearly not being rude. They're clearly not being rude. And she responded with, in all caps, all mean and blah, 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 blah. She said, "You commented in Spanish," so she suddenly knows what Spanish is, apparently. "I cannot speak Spanish. I asked you to comment in English. You were rude. This has nothing to do with your English. I'm blocking you." I kind of just have to get my bearings because of how unreasonable she's being. I can't be the only one who sees this, right? Am I just losing my mind? Is Ray totally in the right and I'm just losing my shit? At no point was that Spanish speaker rude. Not once. They tried to explain themselves, just like a couple other people we know. This has nothing to do with your English. I'm blocking you? Why? Why? They didn't do anything. I don't even think Ray ended up blocking them, to be honest. I don't even think she ended up blocking that Spanish speaker in the first place. But oh my god. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. So, she's just being so fucking rude to that Spanish speaker, right? So that was one instance of her being needlessly mean, right? Apparently, there was this thing going on like Nickelodeon or something, where they were showing like WWE, some kind of wrestling on a kid's channel. And Ray tweeted, "Oh good, teach little kids that it's cool to get concussions that can lead to severe mental problems and death. You know, there was a wrestler who suffered from concussions named Chris Benoit. Guess what? He murdered his family and then killed himself. Hashtag children are our future." Says the person who doesn't give a fuck about children or the human race, but okay. Acting like you give a fuck all of a sudden, thanks. And someone named Ertz responded with, "Question, what is this a reference to? And just because one person in one sport does one thing, does not mean every single person in the sport will murder their family." Now, they're both right, to me. The way that I see this is they both make sense. Ray is like, yeah, maybe you shouldn't be... I mean, she's right and wrong at the same time. Like, yeah, teaching kids at a certain age about, you know, beating the shit out of each other is inappropriate. But once they get to a certain age, you know, shit like that doesn't mean anything. So she's right, but at the same time, she's kind of being a little oversensitive. And then Ertz is right. And, like, yeah, not every single person will end up being fucked. because of a concussion, but at the same time, he doesn't even know what she's talking about. And he kind of just missed the whole point of the tweet, right? And let's say you, listener, say you tweeted about something with no specific reference to what you were talking about, right? You just kind of assumed that most people would know what you're talking about. So you just tweet about it, talking about it, never say it specifically. And somebody responded to you with something like this, just completely missing the point. How would you respond to that? Would you A, be calm, explain to them that they missed the point, and tell them what you were actually going to say? Or would you respond with, "Are you stupid? I'm not talking about sports, I'm talking about concussions. Jesus learned to read." Okay, I'm gonna say something right now. Ray made a whole video years ago titled, "I'm Not Needlessly Mean." And she went on and on about how, oh, you just get the wrong idea through tone. You know, people get the wrong idea over the internet all the time. You can't see tone through text. Like, yes, that's true. And yes, you absolutely have been needlessly mean, and your Twitter is the perfect fucking example. Namely, this response right here. You had no excuse whatsoever to start your response with, "Are you stupid?" And you definitely didn't have an excuse to end it with, "Jesus learned to read." Yeah, sure, maybe you aren't needlessly mean, right? Maybe you aren't, by default. But the moment you feel intellectually superior to someone, you are the biggest fucking asshole to people. I swear to God. Anytime, and this is just an observation, okay? You can tell me I'm wrong, you can prove me wrong, fine. I'll accept that. I'll accept you proving me wrong. But the way I've seen it, and the way I've seen her act, in the comments of her videos, and in the responses of tweets, any time she feels like she's smarter than someone, anytime she feels like she knows more than someone, anytime she thinks she can reply to someone with a gotcha statement, she is the biggest cunt. Relentlessly rude, sarcastic, and spiteful anytime she feels she's the greater one in the situation. It makes me sick to my stomach to see her act like this after preaching about how she doesn't throw a stone unless someone throws one first. Meanwhile, we've got concerned fans worried about her being underweight, and she's being like, "Oh, it's my choice. It's my choice. I was 110 when I was a teenager." When you were a fucking teenager, you are 29, you are a grown fucking woman. Being 110 and a size 0 is not reasonable for your fucking age. Stop. And even if you were right, you didn't even explain yourself. You didn't give any evidence, you didn't link to an article, you didn't link to, like a doctor's website or something. No. You just said, "It's my choice. I was 110 when I was a teenager." That's the only way she explained herself. And if you can look through her tweets and prove me wrong, go ahead. I'm not making this video as if I'm trying to expose her or some shit. I'm not saying this like I know whether she's right or wrong. I'm going off of what I'm seeing, what I'm reading, how it makes me feel. And this is how it makes me feel. Okay? This is how it makes me feel. It makes me feel mad. I don't get flaming mad like this at people very often. It's rare that I get pissed off like this at people. It is. But she's just being so unreasonable lately, and I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it. She's driving me up the wall. With her fucking reactionary, toxic, just meanness. Inexcusable meanness. Just an asshole. I'm sorry. I'm gonna calm down, okay? I got the main shit out of the way. I covered everything. Like I said, if you can objectively prove me wrong, tell me that I'm wrong about anything that I said, I will welcome that. I will so welcome that. Because I don't want to believe that she's been unreasonably bitchy for no fucking reason. I don't want to believe that. And if you can prove to me that she isn't being an asshole, please do it. Please. I have idolized her for the last almost 6 years. I have loved her and her content because her Encephalon universe and her muffins are great. I actually like her Encephalon stuff more than her muffins, actually. And her as a person, I always loved her. Because she was honest and reasonable and intelligent and logical. And she knew what she was talking about, and she was calm and collected, and she wasn't a total bitch. Like she is on Twitter right now. She's even like this on, she's even like this in her, fucking YouTube comments. She uploaded an update a couple days ago, right? And somebody commented in that video asking about muffins. First of all, before I even move on to her response, she had muffins blacklisted. Now, I know she got hacked, and she has to reset everything, right? But she went out of her way to respond to this person. Even though, like, 15 other people already did that. I'm gonna start by saying, she could have just easily ignored them. She could have blacklisted the word muffins again. She could have reinstated moderators, or she could have just completely fucking ignored it. But no, she responded saying, I love how you listened to that video, but not the one that literally has revised promise right there in the title. Come on, dude. And she said immediately again, why didn't you listen to the whole video before commenting? Why do people do that? Now, she wasn't straight up rude or anything in this one. She had calmed it down a little bit. She wasn't super hostile or anything, and that's fine, you know? This is what her responses used to be to people who ask stupid questions. And I wish she did this on Twitter, but not even close. But she posted these replies, and they're not bad. My issue is that she talked so much a while back about just ignoring the people who asked about muffins, and all of a sudden she's just going back on that. She's going out of her way to respond to these people again, and I'm like, why, Ray? Why? First, oh my god, let me pause this. I'm gonna go look up a comment that I left on one of Cara Mendoza's videos. And I'm gonna read this to you. It basically sums up my thoughts. I'm pausing just for a second. While looking through the comments on one of her videos, I didn't find mine. But in the process of looking for mine, I found one that reminded me of a topic I was supposed to be talking about, but I didn't. So I will bring that up here in a little bit. But I'm gonna read my comment first, okay? Alright, so the video that I left this comment on is called, Reitanna Seishin Breaks Promises. It's another Cara Mendoza video. I will link it in the description as well. I said, and I quote, I just can't get over the fact that she, 1, spends her time fucking arguing with strangers who are upsetting her rather than blocking them, regardless of whether they were in the right or wrong. She deliberately gaslighted the situation and was rude and lashed out instead of blocking them, only for her to end up having a mental breakdown over it. By this point, she still hasn't blocked them, as if she wants to argue. 2. Made a compilation of a game, which, by the way, takes a lot of time, especially if there's multiple hours of gameplay to sift through, which there undoubtedly was. 3. Made a lar about her DA ban. First of all, she guilt-tripped the DA employee for days. She had no reason or right to vent about her life-fucking story to that person, but she did it anyway. She essentially played the, my life is awful, please feel bad for me and just let me have this one thing card. Not to mention how clearly upset it made her to talk about it and read it out loud. She induced a mental breakdown over it, and she's gonna sit there and tell us that that's not as hard as editing muffins? Bullshit. I made another I made another comment just like this, on Nothing is Scary's channel. I think the one on Nothing is Scary's channel was better articulated. So I'll go read it to you as well. It says, I said basically the same thing, but, I want to read it to you because I think it's better than the one I left on Kara's. Okay, I lowered my recording volume as well. I didn't realize how loud it was. So I hope this is better and not worse. But here's the comment that I left on Nothing Is Safe's channel. Nothing Is Scary has an alternate channel called Nothing Is Safe where he uploads commentary videos. I recommend you watch his videos on Reitanna's Twitter and see what you think. But here's the comment that I left. I think it's more articulated than the other one. The thing about her saying that muffins takes time and effort stopped meaning anything to me after her video on the DA ban. And I'm not saying that just because it took her a long time to read all the tickets out, but also because it was clearly very destructive to her emotional state. You can't honestly tell me that her basically reliving an emotional breakdown is preferable in comparison to editing a muffin story. Fuck that. Also, the way she handled the DA tickets just infuriated me to no fucking end. The way she vented to that DA employee actually made me sick to my stomach, and I'm sick to my stomach just reading that. She straight up guilt-tripped them for God knows how many days. Like, that employee ain't a fucking therapist, nor do they have any reason whatsoever to give a fuck about her personal problems. They're just there to uphold the rules and deal with unfairness. Though, to her defense, they're pretty shit at it. However, the way she just bitched and moaned about her life problems was completely and utterly unnecessary, and comes across as her either guilt-tripping or being way too comfortable with complaining at people. Which leads me to something else about her that I've been thinking. Recently, she just seems to be so reactionary. She just seems to be externalizing her thoughts and feelings way more than she used to. Like her being sarcastic, spiteful, and rude on Twitter. Her making excuses for herself and her broken promise, and the way she spoke to the DA employee who was dealing with her ban. It just seems to me like she just doesn't have very much control of herself lately. Like, I'm genuinely concerned. I don't know if she's always been like this and it's just now starting to show itself, or if her going through the YouTube hack made her snap or something. Whatever the case, she needs help. And yeah, that reminded me of the DeviantArt ban ticket that she put in, the video about her DA ban that she made. I was just appalled at the way she just straight up tried to guilt trip the person who is handling her ticket. It fucking disgusted me. That's just my personal opinion. The things she was saying felt so wrong to me. It felt wrong listening to the things that she said to that person. You can go watch her video. I think it's called, whatever. I'll link to it in the description. You can watch it for yourself and tell me what you think. But I think she was being disgustingly guilt-trippy. That's the way that I feel about it, okay? And the promise thing, I mentioned that. Here's the thing about her promise. Like, I think, excuse the squeaky chair, a lot of people, including Kara and Scary, and I talked to them about this already, they already know, but just for the sake of the video, I'm gonna talk about it again. I think the way people freaked out over her promise, the way she handled it, was just ridiculous sometimes, okay? To be fair, she'd never outright admitted that she broke her promise. She just, like, pretended to revise it so that she couldn't get backlash for breaking her promise. Like, you broke your fucking promise, okay? You broke it. You broke it. You don't want to work on muffins, and yet you're trying to make it seem like you enjoy working on muffins. It's dishonest. That's what Nothing Is Scary said on Twitter, actually. She's just using muffins as a cash cow. And she should have just said that outright. Right? Like, I'm sure there would have been some kids, maybe like 14, 15-year-olds, that would probably have complained about it. But I feel like most people would have understood that. They would have gotten it if she was honest. If she was honest about it. She wasn't honest about it. She bullshitted herself and everyone listening to her. Basically, what happened was, she said on her WordPress, while she was still working on her hacked channel, she said, "The second video I upload after I come back will be muffins." That was her promise. And then, like 3 videos later, she uploads an update called Revised Promise. And she basically said that she wasn't going to upload muffins until she was able to make money off of it. Not once did she say she broke her promise. Not once did she say not once did she outright say she went back on her word. No. Like Scary says, she ghost admitted it. And I'm just like, come on, Ray, come on. I don't give a fuck whether she uploads muffins or not. I know it's time consuming. I know she would rather do other things. I get it. And I think the people berating her and telling her that it doesn't take effort, I think they need to get their head out of their fucking ass. Okay? Not everyone can handle the same amount of stress. Not everyone can do the same thing the same way. She can't handle it. That's fine. That's her deal. She doesn't feel like doing it. She can't handle that time-consuming process. That's her thing. If you can do that in a timely manner, then that's your fucking thing. Don't bash her because she can't do it quick like you can, okay? That's not okay. However, Reitanna, she should have just outright said from the start that she wanted to do muffins because she wanted to make money off of it. She could have just said that. And I get it. If you're gonna do something that's stressful, you might as well get something out of it. I'll give her credit for that. The least she could have done is said that outright. That's the least she could have done, but she didn't even do that. That's what disappoints me. I don't give a fuck if she never uploads another Muffins narration in the rest of her YouTube career. For the rest of her life. Right? I don't care. I care about her. I care about the shit that she's thinking and feeling, and the shit that she's saying. But about the promise, I don't give a fuck about the promise, other than the fact that she is bullshitting herself into thinking that she didn't break it. She did. She broke her promise. She wants to make money off of muffins. She hates working on muffins, but she's trying to make it seem like she likes working on muffins. She doesn't. And she doesn't want to admit it outright. And that's all I'm gonna say on the fucking muffins promise, okay? That's it. Okay. My throat hurts. My lips hurt. I've been talking for a long time. I'm gonna close this off, okay? I've had some theories about her behavior, right? About the way she's acting. To me, it just seems like she's acquiring an egomaniac part of her personality. It's as if she's just so used to being right. She's so comfortable with being in the right about what she's talking about. She's so comfortable with being superior that it's just kind of getting to her head. So it's probably just part of her sociopathy. She doesn't give a fuck about other people, right? And that's fine. I get it. She can't control that much. And yet she wants to act like she's working super hard on all of her other flaws, but when it comes to, her ego, she just doesn't seem to give a fuck. I don't know, I'm rambling at this point. It just seems like she's used to being the one in the right, and she's acting bitchy because of it. I don't know. I was way more in depth when I was talking to Kara a few weeks ago, but I can't remember what I said. I don't know. Also, that reminds me, she had this fucking crazy breakdown on Twitter a few days ago. You can go look for yourself. She did this weird typo thing. Now, this is from my experience. I don't know if this is bona fide fact or not. I'm not saying this as if it's 100% true and if I know she's bullshitting or not. I'm not saying that. This is just how I perceive it and what I know from my personal experiences. Okay. She does not use Twitter on mobile. She uses a computer to use Twitter. When she was having her little breakdown bullshit on Twitter, she did these weird typos as if she were typing on mobile. Like, there were typos happening that would happen if you were typing on a mobile keyboard, a touchscreen keyboard. And I'm like, does that happen on a computer keyboard? Like, if your eyes are blurry from, like, crying or something, and you're not completely aware of the way you're typing, do typos like that happen on a computer? If you know from experience, can you please clarify for me? Because there's been some theories going around that she's kind of bullshitting. Nobody's saying that she's outright faking her breakdown. Nobody's saying that. People just think she's kind of playing it up a little. I don't know if I believe that. But the typo thing was a little weird. I don't know if typos like that happen on desktop. Whatever. There's one last thing that I wanted to discuss. If you keep up with Reitanna like Kara keeps up with Rei, you will notice that Kara deleted the tweets that made her look bad, right? She didn't want to be perceived as an asshole. She already admitted to regretting deleting them. We've already had this discussion. I'm not saying this for her. I'm saying this for anyone else listening. Okay? So, Kara, if you're listening to this, I'm sorry. This needs to be said. I'm sure you understand. But... And this isn't even just aimed at Kara. This is aimed at anybody who is afraid of what they say on the internet. Okay? This is aimed at anybody. It's not just Kara. Anybody listening. If you say something shitty on the internet, if you say something that makes you look like a total cunt, something that makes you look like an asshole, something you wouldn't normally say, leave it. Don't delete it. Just leave it there. Leave it in the public eye where you left it. Because if you delete it, it just makes you look like a dishonest prick. Just makes it look like you're trying to save face. It's dishonest. Don't delete things that make you look bad. You said it. You said it. Openly. In public. In front of people. Own up to it. Deal with it. It's gonna be there. Okay? People saw it. You've already affected people with what you said. Just leave it there. Okay? Especially if people need screenshots or something of the things that you said. What you said needs to be there. Okay? You can feel regret for it. It's not like there's people that never say something that they regret. Everyone says shit that they regret. Okay? Just because you say a couple of things that are shitty doesn't mean that you're a shitty person, and it doesn't mean that you talk like that all the time. Okay? It's fine. Just leave it. Leave it and grow. Be better. Okay? But Kara, when she deleted those tweets, the first thing that came to mind is when Kara... Nothing is scary, Ertz, and then someone called, bitch ho or something on Twitter. They were all talking to Reitanna about something she said about rapists deserve to be raped. I don't know what the fuck that conversation was talking about. You can look for it yourself. All I'm saying is that bitch ho, I think that's they're at. Bitch ho pointed out that Rei was trying to hide shit. Trying to cover shit up, even though the only example bitch ho used was public records that she screenshotted, and that was supposed to be evidence that Rei was hiding things, I guess. Total straw man, doesn't make any sense, but Kara deleting her tweets reminded me of that, okay? And Kara was the only one in that situation that looked like she was hiding things. That's the comparison that it reminded me of. And like I said, Kara and I have already talked about this. She already expressed regret for deleting them. It's fine, okay? There's fans that were in the wrong, and Reitanna was in the wrong too. Lots of people were in the wrong, okay? All I'm saying is that Reitanna, she's just been a bitch. She's been a bitch on Twitter. She's been reactionary. She's been spiteful. She's been rude. She's been a total jerk. She's gaslighted. She's acted like a troll. She's been unreasonable. She's been a hypocrite because I've been talking for too long. Back when Reitanna's channel got hacked on YouTube, Kara made a Discord server for Reitannites that were concerned, right? It was a Reitannite server. And there were Kiwi Farms rats in there. And they kept trolling the Reitannites. And I don't know if it was Kara or somebody else that told Reitanna about this, and all Reitanna said was to ignore them and block them. And to not give them attention. And yet, Reitanna, in response to people she thinks are being trolls, she doesn't ignore and block them. She gaslights it into an argument, is completely unnecessarily and inexcusably rude, and doesn't block them. She didn't block a single person that she bitched about. Not a single one. She didn't block anybody. She didn't block anybody. She's been a hypocrite. She's been an asshole. Her Twitter is an absolute mess, to say the least. And that's about it. Again, I'm gonna end this. I don't hate Reitanna. I don't want to hate Reitanna. I really don't. I'm just so sick and tired of the way that she's been talking to people. I'm sick and tired of it. And I need to get my feelings out, okay? I saw that Kara did it on her channel. She told me she's already got 2 rant videos lined up for Reitanna already. I'm not going to speak for Scary and Kara, but I think they agree with me here. We're just concerned about her behavior. We're just concerned about her behavior. She's been an asshole on Twitter. It's as if she's going senile in her... going into 30. She's on her way to being 30. It feels like she's going senile a little too early. She's acting out. It's not right. It's concerning. Albeit, Kara and Scary, they went on for a little too long. Sometimes they were a little bit more rude than they needed to be, and I think we talked about this already. It wasn't all on Ray, not all of it. Just a vast majority of it was her fault. That's all I'm saying. But there were some fans that were in the wrong too, okay? That's all I'm saying. But Reitanna's Twitter, it's been fucked up lately. I just hope that she gets her act together soon enough, okay? I just want her to be okay again. I want her to be that happy girl that just uploaded whatever she wanted. That girl that was just goofy and light and wasn't a total bitch. That girl that wasn't a bitch. That's what I want. I want that Ray back. I don't want this hollow shell of a reminder that she used to be a person. Because that's what we have. That's what we have right now. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. That's all. But anyway, I didn't make this video. I said this before. I didn't make this video to, expose her or something. Or to, this is what she did wrong. This is just how I perceive her Twitter. She's done a lot of shit that I think is wrong. If you want to tell me that I'm wrong, if you want to prove me wrong, please, I'm begging you to prove me wrong. I don't want to believe that she's like this. I don't want to believe that. Because to believe that she's like this all the time is to crush everything that she built herself up as for the last, 8 years of her YouTube career. I theorized back in, 2016 that if she ever got a Twitter, for whatever reason, it would be a shit show. And, needless to say, I think I was right.